Talktainment Radio Worldwide Sound. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of Talktainmentradio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
This is the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
Good morning and welcome to TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go on the world's greatest radio, and you are now in touch with the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and this is radio the way it should be heard. If you would like to get in contact with the show, you may do so by calling 1-877-932-9766. You can also Gmail me at 7, the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, at gmail.com, and I will get that and put that on there. I'm looking for the other ways that you can get in contact with me. Facebook.com/Talktainment. There's another way, and you can also go to YouTube. Hey, yeah, you have that paper of that YouTube, that new address that I was told to give. I can't find it there. YouTube. That's another way that you can get to us, is by going to YouTube, and you hear me fumbling around looking for that paper. And maybe I have it here. Let's see here. Pardon the noise here before we get to Mr. Fuller. Let's see here. Nope. Yep. This is it. Okay, here we go. You can also do this. You can also hear the Compensatory Concept live at our TalkTainmentRadio.com website. You can also watch the live broadcast of the Compensatory Concept. Go to YouTube and type in the word Talktainment. Hit the space bar and type in the word radio. Scroll down to Talktainment number 2 live on YouTube, and you can watch the live broadcast. Yes. Then check out for the replay of the Compensatory Concept on Talktainment 2 live on YouTube and on Facebook.com/Talktainment. Those are the ways that you can get in contact with the show. Now, today's show is going to be a little bit different. We have entitled it Open Mic, and all that means is that Mr. Fuller will speak or address your concerns. Of course, I will read the Gmails that are here, but we're going to have an open mic forum. Open mic forum. Thank you to our loyal listeners and reoccurring sponsors: Brian Gaston, Eric Williams, BW Gifts, Helen Nance, Don Mitchner, and JL are some reoccurring sponsors. But we are in that period now where the second hour is to be sponsored, and it'd be sponsored by you. Any amount of donations that you would like to give, just go to the TalkTainmentRadio.com homepage, and you'll see a donate button, and you can click right there, and any amount that you would like to give, you may do so. Okay, with that being out the way, let's say good morning to Mr. Fuller. Mr. Fuller, good morning. Mr.
Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Fuller.
Yes, I hear you very faintly.
Okay, we will turn that up a little bit. Okay, good morning, and as usual, how are you this morning?
I'm still learning.
You are still learning. Before we get started in the open mic forum, was there anything this particular, since we spoke last, that stood out to you or you would like to address here?
Yes, I can't hear you. You're coming in very faint.
Okay, I'll turn up the gain a little bit. Okay, now, your concerns that you may have, or you saw something that you'd like to speak to, go ahead, please.
What's the question now?
Okay.
I still can't hear you.
Okay. This week, or since we last spoke, was there anything that stood out to you that you would like to address or have something to say about that?
Anything that I have to say since we last spoke?
Yes.
About the last subject that we talked about?
Or anything else that may come to your mind or attention?
Well, some people have been asking me what they can do to help me to do what I'm trying to do. A number of people have done that. I've received emails and phone calls, etc. And so to try to be as concise and explicit as possible, I think I said that since people have asked me this, I try to keep it simple and straight to the point. And number one would be, if a person wants to help me to do what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to solve the race problem. So anything along that line. So I say number one would think, speak, and act to solve problems in the most constructive manner. And then by just doing that every day, I mean, you're not only helping me, you're helping to do what I'm trying to do, which is solve the race problem. That should be the objective. It's not a matter of focusing on helping Neely Fuller. It's a matter of what is it that Neely Fuller is supposed to be trying to do. He's trying to solve the greatest problem on the planet, which everybody on the planet should be trying to do. Why? Because it's the greatest problem on the planet. So the best way to go about doing that for everybody, white, non-white, male, female, old, young, whomever, is to think, speak, and act to solve problems, including the race problem, and to do so in the most constructive manner. And try to figure out ways to do that each and every day, each and every minute of each and every day, because that war is still going on. So that would be the number one. Number two, what I do is ask people, because I do have a book, I ask people, since they say they try to help me, ask people to study the book that I have written. Study the book, The Counter-Racist Code. That's it. If they want to help me directly, help Neely Fuller directly do what he's trying to do. But the number one thing is just try to solve everyday problems that you look at right around you every day. I mean, without consulting Neely Fuller on anything, except you can read his book to help you solve the problems. That's why I wrote the book. So you can go and get the book if you don't have it, and study it, and use the things that you can use to help solve problems in the most constructive manner. And then the next thing is ask other people to study the book. That's real important. That would go right to what I'm doing. If people want to help me, ask people to read and study what Neely Fuller has written, The Counter-Racist Code. Now, third thing, and this is kind of important too, don't copy or rewrite what Neely Fuller has written or distort what he has written, meaning myself. You don't have to rewrite a book that's already been written, because the book has been written. So why rewrite it? Or distort what has been written, because then that's causing a real problem. If you take Neely Fuller's book and then take parts of it and mix it up with something else so that you get, what, confusion, then you're really helping the white supremacists to keep doing what they are doing, run the business of white supremacy, which shouldn't exist. No kind of racism, no kind of mistreatment of people based on color should have ever existed in the first place. But it's the dominant government on the planet here in 2018, even as we speak. But I wrote the Compensatory Code. I mean, out of the things from my viewpoint, I wrote it from the viewpoint that I have. So everybody else is supposed to look at the race problem from the viewpoint that they have, and then write the book that they want to write. without copying what Neely Fuller's written, because why do that when Neely Fuller's written what he's written? So number 4 is, if a book is written, it should not only be completely different from what Neely Fuller has written, but should make Neely Fuller's writings completely obsolete. In other words, you can read Neely Fuller's book, but if you say that, well, Neely Fuller's book is inadequate, it's a lot of things he didn't cover, it's a lot of things he didn't do, and the way he went about doing it, I mean, is not the way that someone else looking at it would say that it's the best way. Then you come up with another way and saying something completely different from what he has said. So why say something that he's already said? Or you can just hand somebody the book that he's already written and be done with that. But if you have something different to do, then do it differently. Say something that's completely different. Say it in a completely different way. And make Neely Fuller's book obsolete, and Neely Fuller will get the book that's out there now and declare his own book as being obsolete. Because you always want the latest material that's really taking care of the problem. And so far, Neely Fuller's book hasn't taken care of the problem. It has not. Nor has anybody else's book solved the problem of racism, white supremacy. Mm-hmm. Even though thousands of books have been written on the subject. Everybody in 2018 now should say, I'm going to try to write something that's a blueprint for actually solving this problem once and for all. And all people have to do is just turn the pages and do what the pages say do, and the problem will be solved automatically in the easiest possible manner, because right now it's very complicated.
Yes, sir.
For everybody. That's already been proven. Mm-hmm. Nobody has come up with a formula for solving the race problem.
All right.
Even though some people claim that they have, but the only way you can claim that you have solved the race problem is to have solved the race problem. That's the only way you can make that claim. Not have a theory or a formula on paper. Mm-hmm. Lots of us have that. I have that. Okay. But the race problem is still here.
Yes, sir. Let's go to the Talktainment, or rather the Gmail from Mr. Bobby. This comes from Charles. He says, Mr. Fuller, I don't understand. You say code. What is a code, and why have a code?
What is the question?
The question is, Mr. Fuller, you say code. What is a code, and why have a code?
A code is just a way of getting things done. If you're going to do anything, plumbing, if you're going to put up a building, you do it according to a code. And what is a code? A code is something that is established based on precedent. And that is certain things that you do and certain things that you don't do. And by you not doing certain things and doing other things, and you find that the things that you do work, and the other things that don't work, you don't do. That's all a code is. Don't do something that doesn't work. Like I've outlined, when a black person is pulled over and by a law enforcement officer who may or may not be a racist, but the black person does 3 things that should not be done. It's been proven that these 3 things should not be done because usually they do not work. They simply don't work. So the code says the 3 F's in that type of situation. Don't fuss, don't fight, don't flee. Now that first one, fussing, meaning cursing, being discourteous, even though the officer may be discourteous to you, talking about what your rights are, screaming and yelling, name calling, that type of thing. That's fussing. Not doing what the officer tells you to do. That's fussing. All right? Tell him you ain't going to do it, or you don't he or she doesn't have the right to tell you to do it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. None of that. None of that sitting by the roadside drama when you've been pulled over, particularly in the northwestern hemisphere. All right? Don't fuss. Don't fight. I mean, you start fighting those handcuffs and all like that when you're told you're under arrest and all like that. No, don't do that. Don't fight. Don't try to push the officer away from you, saying, you're standing too close to me, get off of me. And you push the officer back. Take your hands and push it in the chest or something like that. Or you swing on him with your fists. Don't fight. Don't fight. Don't fuss. Don't fight. And the other thing, the third, don't flee. Take off running across a cornfield, like you see on some of the television programs. People doing that over and over again. Where do you think you're going? I mean, you're going to another planet? How far do you think you can run? I mean, it's 12 o'clock at night, you're out on a highway. I mean, you know, a highway probably that you haven't even been down, and you're going to take off running? Where are you going? It's not a matter of what you're running from. It's a matter of what you're running to. Are you going to run up in the hills because you got an army up there waiting for you that's going to back you up? I mean, and turn back the aggression. The minute they see you, they say, well, here comes that fella that we're going to protect. To arms, everybody. Paul Revere. So your army is going to come sweeping down out of those hills, I mean, and repel the aggression. The people who are chasing you. Not likely going to happen. Mm-hmm. So where are you running to? Mm-hmm. Don't fuss, don't fight, don't flee. That's just an illustration to talk about code.
Okay.
All right? Have a code.
Okay.
And part of that code is don't fuss, don't fight, don't flee.
Yes, sir.
I don't care if you're in your wedding suit. If you're told to get down on your knees, get down on your knees. Why? Because if you don't do that, it's not going to work for you. It's going to work against you.
Okay. Now, what if Neely Fuller gets pulled over, and you're calm, you're cool, you're collected, you're doing what the officer says, but the officer may not like it because you are cool and you are calm and you are collected, and the officer strikes you? What do you do?
I've just been struck.
That's it?
A possible race soldier. Now, what does that mean? That's what I mean by code. Who's striking me? This is not a little, get together down at some bar, or a misunderstanding in a high school. I am a captured enemy. That's how I'm looked at.
So you're going to get hit upside the head.
I'm a prisoner of war. I'm already in captivity. Mm-hmm. A prisoner of war doesn't, if he's slapped or she is slapped, mm-hmm. slap the aggressor back. A prisoner of war doesn't do that. All right? You're a prisoner of war. You're already in captivity. You're captured before you were born. If you're a black person on this planet, you're under the system of white supremacy. You're in a prison system called the system of white supremacy. You have to look at yourself that way. You're not some type of free person walking around. Mm-hmm. You were born in a prison. Mm-hmm. And that prison is established under the banner of being anti-black. The system of white supremacy is a prison for black people, making the whole planet a prison for a person who is black. So you act like a prisoner of war. So knowing that, that's a frame of mind. Mm-hmm. That's what I mean by a code. I'm a prisoner of war. And nobody's coming for my rescue. I don't have anybody who can stand by me. There's nobody out there that I can rely on to come and take care of business for me. All I got to do is call on them. No, you can't be in that frame of mind at all, because there's no black person on this planet can save you from the white supremacists. Keep that in mind. That's rock solid code. No black person on this planet, maybe on another planet, can save another black person from the wrath of the white supremacists. That's what is meant by the system of white supremacy.
Okay.
Nobody who is of color can overrule them once they make their rule. Nobody.
Nobody. Okay.
You have to get another white person to do it. And if that white person is not available, you are in serious trouble.
All righty.
Period.
Talk to him at radio.
Worse trouble than you're already in.
All righty. Talk to him at radio.com is a 24/7, no-charge, worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news and lifestyle, sports, health, wellness, religion, law, and, of course, politics. Now, here's a couple that I'd like to share with you. Right now, you can listen to Pastor O Speaks. Yes, Orlinda Hawkins Brinkley is the person that you would contact with that or listen to her show. And also the new show, a new old show, and that is Talking Sports with Mr. Bobby. That's right, yours truly, which can be heard coming up on February the 20th from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time here on TalkTainmentRadio.com. As a matter of fact, you can go to the TalkTainmentRadio.com app and click on programs for the scheduled times and information on the show and the host. TalkTainmentRadio.com, that's radio the way it should be heard. I am Mr. Bobby, the co-host of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller. We are having open mic today, so any questions, Gmails, anything that you would like to say, you can call in by calling 1-877-932-9766, or you can Gmail me at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, at gmail.com. You can also hear the replay of this program by going to facebook.com/Talktainment. And also you can do this. You can hear the Compensatory Concept live, or you can watch it live, broadcast of the Compensatory Concept, and all you have to do is go to YouTube, then type in the word Talktainment, hit the space bar, and type in the word radio, scroll down to Talktainment number 2 live on YouTube, and watch the live broadcast. Then you can check out the replay of the Compensatory Concept on Talktainment 2 live on YouTube and Facebook.com/Talktainment. And while you're there, hit the like us and subscribe button. And when you do that, excuse me, especially by going to the TalkTainmentRadio.com homepage, there's a donate button there. Also hit that so that the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Fuller and yours truly can go to the second hour. 1-877-932-9766 is the number that you can get in contact with the show. Here's another email. This comes from Dolly. She says this, Mr. Fuller: how is racism the dominant government in this world? What do you mean by that?
Well, when it comes to a person of color, just look around to what happens everywhere that you go on the planet when it comes to a person of color, and ask, why is it that if you're in Venezuela, if you're in Brazil, except maybe for a few minutes in Mardi Gras time, if you are in Ethiopia, if you are a person of color in Ohio, in New York City, in Ontario, why is it that when white people look at you, they see something different than they see when they look at a white person? And that they act on that difference, and that difference is usually directly, indirectly, to your detriment. Why is it that you have what you call black neighborhoods, black communities, black churches, a black church. Just that. Something we've gotten used to. That's what we call them. We don't even call them Christian churches. We call them black churches and white churches. Why is that? There's got to be a reason for that. So I'm saying everywhere you go, color is the dominant feature in anything. The color of a person's skin. That's dominant. That takes precedent over everything. There's nothing that comes before that. Nobody's religion comes before that. First thing is, what color is that person coming down the road? What is the color classification? If you look at the census in the northwestern hemisphere, the census is all about what? A thing called race. Let's get that straight before we start talking about money or anything else. What race do you belong to? And then they have the races, what's so-called races, R-A-C-E-S, based on what? What color somebody is. All right? Now, I understand they're doing a little modification now, a little juggling and whatnot, and they're coming up with something called the German race and the Irish race. But really, in the system of white supremacy, it's just one race, and that is the white race. There's no such thing as another race of people anywhere in the known universe. According to what? According to logic. So that's why I say that's the dominant government. It actually cancels out all other governments. There's no such thing as, you know, a communist government other than the government of white supremacy, a socialist government other than the government of white supremacy, a capitalist government other than the government of white supremacy, a Christian government, Muslim government, Confucian government, Hindu government. No. Color is more powerful than all of those so-called governments put together. What color somebody is, more powerful. That's the first order of business. They say, oh yeah, well, you're talking about money and you're talking about this, you're talking about capitalism, you're talking about Wall Street, you're talking about starvation in Bangladesh and whatnot. Wait a minute, before we even get to that. What color are the people? What color are the people that you're talking about? Before we go any further, let's get that straight. We want to know what color the people are. What color the people are. We're talking about borders now. You got people coming across borders. Wait a minute. What color are those people coming across the border? Any border. What color are those people out there in the desert? What color are those people up there on the moon? If there's any up there, what color are they? Let's get that straight first. Then we'll talk about the other stuff. Because the other stuff don't matter no way. It's what color they are that matters. We don't care nothing about these two-bit religions. All of them don't matter.
Okay.
Color comes first.
Color comes first. TalkTimeRadio.com. We go where you go. Check us out on 94.1 WGRN. Podcasts are available. Download the TalkTimeRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. Stay right there. More of your Gmails and maybe some phone calls. All that and more coming up next on TalkTimeRadio.com.
Girlfriend, why are you in such a good mood on a Monday morning?
We just bought a foreclosed home and saved a ton of money.
A ton of money? What a blessing. Tell me how.
Well, Linco Realty specializes in selling foreclosed homes.
Linco Realty? I've heard about them on the radio. Yeah, that smart people buy foreclosed homes ad. Don't they have that website with all those vacant government and bank-owned foreclosed homes?
Yes, that's repohomelist.com. And they have lenders with purchase and repair money, even down payment assistance and credit repair.
No money down, plus purchase and repair money? What's the number?
614-375-2289. Record low interest rates make some homes cheaper than rent.
Well, Bill wants a new home. Can Linco Realty help us?
Yes, Linco Realty can sell you a new home in over 50 communities around Central Ohio. They've been in business for over 35 years.
Wow, you've really been blessed.
Yes, we have, and you can too. Call Lincoln Realty today at 614-375-2289.
For the best home fragrance and beauty products, shop Ash Kickin online.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Made with 100% natural quality ingredients and handcrafted with your family in mind, Ash Kickin products are better than those other guys. Ash Kickin candles, incense, body butter, face moisturizer, and hair moisturizer are priced just right, and you can get yours at 10% off with coupon code TALK17. Support this 100% black-owned business and get your home and body smelling and feeling all right.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Shop Ash Kickin online at www.ashkickin.com.
Are you ready for a high school that allows you to work at a place that is right for you? Are you ready to earn a certification in healthcare, business, or manufacturing while achieving your high school diploma? Then you are ready for Life Skills High School, a free public school option for high school students 16 to 21 years old. Learn more about your free high school educational options at lifeskillshs.org or call them at 1-800-888-7992. Life Skills High School, education that fits your life.
Every year, June marks the beginning of two busy seasons, summer and wedding season. If you are legally changing your name, you need to apply for a replacement Social Security card reflecting your new name. This is easier to fix now when you first change your name than years from now when you retire. So go to our website at www.socialsecurity.gov/SS number or call us at 1-800-772-1213, TTY 1-800-325-0778 to find out what specific documents you need to change your name and apply for a replacement card.
If you or someone you know is abusing drugs and or alcohol and want to stop the abuse, contact APDS at 1409 East Livingston Avenue. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily and 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday. APDS is certified by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and primarily funded through the Adam H. Board. Fees are based on your income and Medicaid is always accepted. For more information, call 614-253-4448.
This is Al Edmondson, owner of a Cutter Brother Rest Barbershop. I'm calling on all barbers and beauticians. It's time for us to unite as one. We can serve our communities better together. Join the Ohio Black Barber Beauty Network. For more information, visit www.obbn.org or call 614-427-3226 to get more information. Be the change that you want to see in your community. Join our network.
I've got the water, energy bars, and camera. I think we're set for the hike.
Almost. We need to protect our skin. Don't forget your wide-brimmed hat and sunscreen.
All right. I've got the hat. I've got SPF 30. Will that work?
Yeah, anything 15 or higher is good. Just make sure it says broad spectrum.
Great. Got it. I am not getting burned again. Let's go.
Learn more at cdc.gov/cancer.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTimRadio.com.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Go ahead. Make my day.
You got the power.
TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com to your app or to your cell or tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. Hi, I'm Mr. Bobby, the co-host of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Today we are having open mic. We're answering your questions, Gmails, and a few phone calls when we can work those in. Mr. Fuller, let's go to the Gmails. This comes from Jordan. He says this: Mr. Fuller, white people have done a good job of causing black people to doubt their own mental abilities. I think that's why we're so obsessed with and brag about our history. We want to feel like we can accomplish things. Mr. Fuller, what would you say to a black person to help them get over that doubt?
I didn't hear the question because your voice is very faint. But if I understand a little bit of part of what I did here, what? I really did. I really didn't hear the question.
Okay,
I can't hear you.
I'll repeat it. He says, "What would?" Okay, white people have done a good job of causing black people to doubt their own mental abilities. I think that's why we're so, as black people, so obsessed with and brag about our history. We want to feel like we can accomplish things. Mr. Fuller, what would you say to a black person to help them get over that doubt?
Well, that's why I wrote the book, and that's why I'm on the air. I'm saying, I'm talking about solutions. The solution is we need a code. That's all we need. And what is a code? Things that you do, things that you don't do. Things that you say, things that you don't say. Because everything, when it comes to people, is governed by what you do and what you don't do, and what you say and what you don't say. Each and every minute of each and every day, wherever you happen to be in the known universe. That's all it is. That's all the white supremacists have. They have a code. It's things that the white supremacists will do and say, and things they won't do and say. It is absolutely not going to do it and say it. They're not going to say certain things, and they're not going to do certain things. And that's all that it is. Things that you do and say. Things that you don't do. Things that you don't say. And that's all we ever need. It's automatic. Once you set it in place and just do it and say it. And I've given examples all through the textbook for victims of racism. A counter-racist code. We don't have a counter-racist code. The dominant thing on this planet, here in 2018, is a racist code that's invented by the white supremacists. They have an exact code, an exact way of doing things. It's almost like magic, but it's not magic. It's mathematics. That's what it is. It's a plan for everything that they do. Whereas the victims of racism don't have a plan of any kind. We just get up in the morning and say, well, whatever. You know, whatever's coming down the road. I mean, you know, somehow things will work out. I mean, I hope, maybe, I mean, one of these days, some kind of miracle will happen and, you know, and put some kind of things in order. Otherwise, I don't know what to do about anything ever. I don't know who to talk to or where to go. I got no idea about nothing. But that's not a correct condition. That was a condition that was manufactured by the white supremacists because they told black people that that's the way you better be under their system. Just completely addle-brained. Have no idea what you're going to do tomorrow or the next week. Just stand there, boy. Stand there, gal, until I tell you what to do. Just stand there and with your eyes bugged and looking around wondering, you know, Chicken Little, the sky's falling. All right? Until I, the great white father, the great white mother, come and tell you, you person of color, all right, go over here and do this according to my code. Go over there and do that. Don't do this, don't do that. Otherwise, I am going to hurt you. Do you understand that, Negro? Y'all's a boss. That's the way we are conditioned. We were conditioned that way before we were born because our people who came before us were conditioned that way. They were prisoners of war. There's nobody on the planet now who is of color who wasn't born under the system of white supremacy. And their grandparents were born under the system of white supremacy. There's no criteria in the past. Now, this is supposed to be Black History Month. We're supposed to be studying history, but you're not going to find anything written down anywhere that tells you exactly what to do about white supremacy, because the people who wrote all of those things down during that time, the people who existed during that time, were conquered by the white supremacists, which is why we're in the shape that we're in now. Got to keep that in mind. There's nothing in history, in black, so-called black history, to brag about. First thing you do is stop all the bragging, because there's nothing to brag about. If there was anything to brag about, we wouldn't be having black history, because there wouldn't be a necessity for it. Why? Because no matter how smart the people may have been 2,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, 40,000 years ago, which we sometimes brag about how smart they were. They weren't smart. They were smart up to a point when they had their so-called great civilizations. And what was that point when they became not smart? Is when they encountered the white supremacists. Otherwise, the white supremacists could never have been supreme. See, the evidence shows that. That's not me giving an evaluation. Evidence and logic teaches you that. If my ancestors knew everything that they should have known, they never could have been conquered. They never could have their offspring, generation after generation, be in the shape that they're in now. So that means what happened? They were conquered by someone who was smarter than them. That's all.
Wow.
That we have to face that. Now, that's not anything to be embarrassed about. What's the embarrassment, there is something to be embarrassed about if you're going to be embarrassed. Where the embarrassment comes in is trying to walk around acting like that didn't happen and looking for something to brag about. That is absolute insanity. And it certainly is in the category of mass stupidity for black people to walk around bragging about anything as prisoners of war.
Okay.
Once you become a prisoner of war, you got nothing to brag about. Period. I don't care how you got there, but you got nothing to brag about.
Okay. TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. My name is Mr. Bobby, and I am the co-host of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., and if you would like to get in contact with the show, you may do so by calling 1-877-932-9766, or you can Gmail me at the numeral number 7, MrBobby@gmail.com. You can also go to Facebook /Talktainment and then Entertainment, and then you can access the show in its entirety. And also one more way you can do this. You can hear and watch the Compensatory Concept live by going to YouTube, then type in the word Talktainment, hit the space bar and type in the word radio, and scroll down to Talktainment number 2 live on YouTube and watch the live broadcast. Then check out for the replays of the Compensatory Concept on Talktainment 2 live on YouTube and Facebook.com/Talktainment. Hit the like and subscribe button, and you'll be right there. Mr. Fuller, it is at this time that we will have you discuss your book. Go ahead, Mr. Fuller. Mr. Fuller, this is the time where we have allotted for you to speak to your book, about your book.
Yes, you can get the book by going to producejustice.com. That's producejustice.com. And the reason I named it that producejustice.com in order to get the book is because that's the purpose for getting the book. We're supposed to be in the process of getting rid of racism and putting something in its place. The logical thing to put in the place of racism is a thing called justice, which means guaranteeing that no person is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. That's the whole reason for getting rid of racism. You don't want to get rid of racism and then replace it with something that's the same thing as racism, just mistreatment of people, just another form of mistreatment of people. We're trying to get rid of the entire system, all the systems of mistreatment of people, once and for all. And in order to have that, you have to have a thing called justice. And logically speaking, justice would mean guaranteeing that no person is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. Now, the code book that I'm asking people to get by going to producejustice.com is the things that the victims of racism, the non-white people of the known universe, can do as individual people, as individual persons, without having to check with anybody, without having to go and see how many of your friends or relatives or whomever you get is on board with you to follow a counter-racist code. You just follow it yourself. And when people ask you what you're doing, you tell them that's what you're doing. You're trying to follow a counter-racist code as an individual. And somebody says, well, I would like to, does it work? Does it help you to solve problems? And if it does, you say so. If it doesn't, you shouldn't pay any attention to it anyway. All right? That's the way it works. It's entirely up to you. It's flexible. And it's just, all the code is just a bunch of suggestions that I have presented that I think will work for the individual person. And you just pass on that information to the next person that they ask you. But basically, it's written for the individual person. Individual. You just go and individually do what you do that will work for you. If it doesn't work for you, just turn the next page and see if you find something that does work. And if there's nothing in the book, like one person told me he couldn't find anything in the book that would work for him. And I told him that's the way the book is supposed to work. Because then he has the license, because he has that naturally anyway, to come up with things of his own that works for him. That's all. If it's not in Neely Fuller's book, then don't use it. Use it if it works for you. Don't use it if it doesn't work for you. It's simple. That's a choice. Okay? And you shouldn't try to use anything that doesn't work. Just pass over that and say, well, that must be for somebody else because it doesn't work for me. It doesn't even fit my personality or nothing. I'm not going to do it. That's your choice. But the book is written that way. It's nothing but like a buffet. You just go down the line and you look, carrots, lettuce, peas, onions, steak, whatever it is, all right, chicken, all right, pick out what you want. Pick out something that's nutritious for you. And if you don't find anything on that buffet, then, hey, you just didn't find anything on that buffet. You walk out of the restaurant and go on down the street, find someplace else. That's all the book is. Just a book of suggestions about how to deal with racism as an individual person. You can get it by going to producejustice.com.
Okay.
That's producejustice.com.
All right.
What to do and what to say. That's what the book says. And what not to do and what not to say.
All right.
Under different circumstances.
Okay, Gmails are stacking up. Today's program is called Open Mic, and Mr. Fuller speaks to your concerns or questions. Mr. Fuller, this comes from Glenda. She asked this. Dear Mr. Fuller, have you seen or heard about the unveiling of the presidential portraits. What do you think of the artist renderings of Barack and Michelle Obama for the Smithsonian Museum?
Well, I have to answer according to the code. You're talking about a work of art?
Well,
is that what they're talking about?
Yes, sir.
A painting?
Yeah, a painting, a portrait.
Paintings.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I've seen those paintings in the newspaper, and what I think about them is they are paintings that someone said should be painted, and the artist that painted it thought that that's what should be done. So, according to the code, my reaction is supposed to be just that. He did what he did. He painted the pictures, and he presented them to the people who, I guess he's seeking their agreement that the pictures should have been painted. Now, my opinion of the paintings, which come under what you call works of art, my opinion of the art is that, well, it is what it is. I mean, and each person that looks at it can take away from it whatever they think they should take away from it, because that's what I understand in a compensatory way and a codified way art to mean.
Mm-hmm.
Any kind of art, any kind of graffiti that a person puts on the side of a wall.
Mm-hmm.
I look at it and I ask a person who put it there, what is it supposed to do? What am I supposed to think when I see it? And the person says, well, you think what you want to think. A lot of artists will do that. Or they will say what they want the person to think.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say, well, I'll look at it, and then what I'll think is that you put it there with that intention. And that's what I think. That you want people to look at it and make up their own mind what they think of it, and that you hope that they admire it. And I will say to people, that's why you put it there. And then I'll walk off. So that's all I got to say.
Okay.
See, in other words, I'm not going to criticize it. I'm not going to praise it. I'm not going to say anything except it is what it is. That's code.
Okay, that's code.
There's a reason for having that type of code, too.
Okay. Alrighty, let's take this one. It says, 1-877-932-9766 is the telephone number you can get in contact with the show and ask Mr. Fuller your questions. Phone lines are now open. Okay, Fowler wrote this. Mr. Fuller, in the 9 areas of people activity, you failed to mention food. And being that most food seems to be contaminated, what or how do we address that?
I didn't get the question.
Okay.
I can barely hear you.
Okay, let me see here. Okay. All right, it says, this comes from Fala. Mr. Fuller, in the 9 areas of people activity, you failed to mention food. And being that most food seems to be contaminated, how do we deal, or how will you address that?
The only thing I'll say about food in the entire book is eat correctly and only as necessary. Now, I limited what I had to say about food for this reason. The white supremacists, we are prisoners of war. When I say we, I mean people of color are prisoners of war in the system of white supremacy. That's the name of the prison. We can just go down to the buffet, you might say, in a prison. You know, say what we want, say what we don't want, which is what we do when we go anywhere on the planet and look at food. I mean, we don't know what's in the food, because we don't even know what's in the water.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have water to grow food. We don't know what's in the water, because the white supremacists go around and determine what's going to be in the water that's going to help to grow the food that people of color eat.
Mm-hmm.
So, the code says you just do the best you can. Eat only as necessary and try to eat as nutritiously as you possibly can. All right? But only eat as necessary. In other words, your food intake shouldn't be any more than necessary. All right? And try to eat correctly. Now, that's what it says under economics, because that's what food comes under, economics. How you use your time and energy. Food is about energy. All right? So, you eat the best you can, but I didn't specify any foods because, for example, say if the word gets out that black people have decided they're going to eat a lot of broccoli. I mean, black people are really into broccoli. I mean, when you say black people, you think about broccoli. You no longer think about fried chicken. You think about broccoli, all right? And that's all over the world. Black people say, well, broccoli is nutritious. Broccoli will really help you. Well, the white supremacists will take a look at that and say what they don't know. I'm going to poison all the broccoli that they get because they don't get nothing that I don't provide no way, one way or another. I'm running the prison. I decide what the prisoners are going to eat and what effect what they eat is going to have. So they'll just simply, genetically alter the broccoli, maybe, without even what you call using traditional poison. They'll just alter the broccoli that black people get. They'll be in control of that and see to it that it actually tears down their body structure, if that's what they want to do. Or it will cause them to be addle-minded, put some type of drug into it. So when the nourishment, so-called nourishment from the broccoli goes to the person's brain, then the person won't be able to think as well as they could ordinarily had they not eaten the broccoli. So that is the reason that I didn't put any kind of specialty in there, because it goes back to what's right there in the front of the book. If we don't understand white supremacy, what it is and how it works, everything else that we understand will confuse you. And the main thing that that's supposed to mean is that they are in complete control. It's nowhere that black people can go, that non-white people can go on the planet and say, I am now in a place that's not under the control of the white supremacists. They are in control of every move that you make if you're a person of color. Every move in all of the areas of activity, 24/7. Economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And you, if you are a person of color, you don't do anything that's not directly or indirectly approved of by them. And when you do something that's not approved of by them, you hear from them immediately. And they put you in your place immediately, and the record shows it. They put me in my place immediately. That's what white supremacy means. When you do anything that's really bad for their business, they'll let you do a whole lot of things. But they'll look at it and say, oh, we allow them to do that because, that's not really hurting business. I mean, in fact, it's helping business, but they don't know it. All right? Black people out here robbing each other and whatnot. I mean, that's helping our business. That's not helping them do nothing. All right? That's just making them worse than they already are. Okay? And even when a black person robs a white person, I mean, that helps us because now we got something to hold against them, and we'll hold it against all of them. I mean, we got this thing airtight. I don't care which way they go. We got it airtight. I mean, we don't make mistakes. They make mistakes every move they make. That's how we trained them.
Wow. Okay. When you hear that music, you know what that means. TalkTameRadio.com, the world's greatest radio, and radio the way it should be heard. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for the second hour of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard here on TalkTameRadio.com.
got the power. The world's greatest radio. Talktainmentradio.com. Talktainment Radio, worldwide sound. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
This is the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
Okay, welcome to the second hour of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. on TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go, the world's greatest radio. You are in touch now with us, the Compensatory Concept. I'm your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and this is radio the way it should be heard. Our topic today is really an open mic where Mr. Fuller will address or speak to your concerns. Any questions that you may have, you can do so or ask him by calling 1-877-932-9766. You can also Gmail me at the numeral 7, MrBobby@gmail.com. You can also see and hear the program, or in other words, watch it, by going to the Compensatory Concept on YouTube. Let's see. Type in the word Talktainment, hit the space bar, then type in the word radio, scroll down to Talktainment number 2, live on YouTube, and watch the live broadcast. Then check out for the replay of the Compensatory Concept on Talktainment 2 live on YouTube and also on Facebook.com/Talktainment. Hit the like and subscribe button and you're there, and also the donate button on the TalkTainmentRadio.com homepage, because this is the share time for the second hour. Before we go to the Gmails, we have a phone call. Line number 1. You are now on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Bobby, Mr. Fuller, still learning. Yeah, I just wanted to expound on what Mr. Fuller just said about the food and the question about the food. Dr. Sadie released a list of foods that he thought were untampered with by the white supremacists, the foods that were not hybrid, the best foods for the African people, for the black people of the planet. And he released that list before he died. And it goes to say, like Mr. Fuller said, when someone is affecting their business, then the ultimate goal is they take care of them, like they did, like I think they did Dr. Sadie. Yeah. His list is still available online. That you can go to, just type in Dr. Sadie's food list, and that is a list that black people can and African people can follow. Mm-hmm. And it is the best possible foods, the best thing that we can do to keep us nutritious. But my actual question is about the refinement stage of white supremacy on page of the book, page 24.
Page 24
of the page 24 of the expanded. The revised expanded edition.
Okay.
So at the top of page 24, it says the refinement stage of white supremacy is the ideal stage of racial subjugation to best help those white supremacists who strive to produce it. They prefer a condition in which their victims willfully support being the subjects of the white supremacy, as they become accustomed to believing that this is the best possible arrangement between white and non-white people. The white supremacists promote the refinement of white supremacy by speaking and/or acting in a manner that makes the practice of white supremacy more acceptable. Well, I just wanted to, I was debating with a prospective white supremacist on this very topic, and I was trying to show him how the white supremacists have to go into they have to have a refinement stage, and that how that their refinement stage includes concealing the existence of white supremacy. Because he was just telling me, well, if we're supreme, why can't we they could just wipe out everybody. If they're supreme, why do they have to conceal it? And he was swaying the audience to trying to deny the existence of white supremacy through this tactic. And I just wanted to ask Mr. Fuller, why is it important that we understand that they're in the refinement stage, that it exists, and how do we prove it to ourselves and to prove it to suspect the white supremacy?
Okay, Mr. Fuller?
Yeah, if I understand the question, it's important to just understand all of the things that the white supremacists do. Because anything that you miss, that whatever you miss about the way they go about doing things, that's what's going to eventually trip you up. They already know that. I mean, the system of white supremacy is very, very, very finely tuned, like a smooth-running automobile engine. It's very fine-tuned, and they're always checking to see that that engine is running smoothly. If they hear any rattles or anything, I mean, they go and check on it immediately, because it's not supposed to happen. I mean, they want a smooth operation. And the refinement stage of white supremacy means they do it so smoothly that the average black person, the average non-white person will say, white supremacy, that doesn't exist. What's that fool talking about? What are these stupid people talking about some white supremacy? I do what I want to do. I go where I want to go. Nobody tell me what to do. You know, so then the white supremacist was to look at that black person and say, that's exactly the way we want all of them to think, that we don't even exist. That everything is, you know, that they're running everything, that black people run the world. That's the way we want them to think. That is the ultimate in the refinement stage of white supremacy. See, white supremacy goes through 4 stages. The first stage is establishment. I don't know when it was established. Some people say 600 years ago. Some people say 400 years. Some people say, no, 2,000 years. Then there are other people, depending on what scholar you talk to, say, oh, no, 6,000 years. That's when they really got established, 6,000 years ago. All right? That's a long time. Now, I say I don't know, but I do know that they are in business now, the biggest business on earth. No business is bigger than that, the system of white supremacy.
Okay.
So I'm saying, I don't know when it's established, but it was established. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. That's number one. And then the second stage is maintenance. Just like anything that you start, you want to maintain it. You want to go around, you know, if you put together an aircraft or something like that, you come around and check. If you put together an air conditioning system or a plumbing system, you come and check it every now and then, see if it's running smoothly. That's what you call maintenance.
Okay.
Yeah, you see it, everything is in place. And then expansion is when you take in more people. Expansion.
That's a third stage?
Supremacy. And there's more people on the planet now than there was, say, 10,000 years ago or 200 years ago. More people on the planet. And most of them are non-white. So you're getting more and more people, you know, as your capital, you might say, in your business. You're taking in more and more slaves because they're being born. More people are being born all the time. And they're being born in your prison. All right, that makes your prison expand. All right, you make more room for them in your prison. Okay, and then the last stage, and this is the stage they want to stay in, refinement. You make your prison look like it's not a prison, where the prisoners are concerned. Now you got a smooth operation situation.
Okay.
All right, where you have people walking around saying, nobody tells me what to do. I'm my own man. I'm 21 years old. I'm grown. All right. I ain't no child. I mean, you know, I go and do what I please, when I please, you know, whatever I please, and have the non-white females doing the same thing.
Okay.
That's a perfect situation for a prison master.
Okay, let me get this straight. Establishment, maintenance, expansion, and refinement.
Establishment, maintenance, expansion, and refinement.
Okay.
Now, they're trying to stay in the refinement stage. But, you know, a lot of black people are saying, wait a minute. We're in a system of racism. You can't fool me about that. You know, hey, racism does exist.
Okay.
Racism is real.
Racism is real.
Now, you got a whole lot of black people who are saying that now.
Okay.
Not all over the world. Not near as many as should be. Nowhere near as many.
Okay.
But you have a substantial number. Now, that disturbs the white supremacist business. Because in the refinement stage, you're not supposed to be aware that there is such a thing as racism.
Correct.
All right? It's supposed to be so smooth. So they are arguing among themselves now. The white supremacists are.
Okay.
And see, I mean, I told you to keep this thing in the refinement stage. Now you got others that are saying, no, it's kind of getting out of hand. We got to start using the hammer and the fist. We got to start gunning them down like we did in the old days. We got to be right in their face 24 hours a day.
Okay.
They said, yeah, that'll work for a little while, but all that'll do is stir them up. You don't want to stir them up. You don't want to woke them up. Let these Negroes sleep on. Don't woke them up. Let them sleep on. All right, keep them asleep.
Okay.
Refinement stage.
Refinement.
That way you can lay down and go to sleep, and they'll be waiting on you hand and foot, thinking that they're serving each other, thinking that they're serving themselves. That's what you want, a smooth running machine.
All right, brother, before I let you go, you mentioned Dr. Sebi. Was one of those foods broccoli? Because I understand broccoli is a hybrid plant. Was that in that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He has several videos on broccoli.
Okay.
That's something he knows the white supremacists use that we think is healthy. It's one of the most terrible foods that you can eat.
Okay.
It's not on his list yet, but he has. You can go on YouTube and type in Dr. Sebi broccoli. Yeah. He has a video where he shows how poisonous it is, and peanuts, and all the other hybrid plants.
Okay. All right. Thank
y'all for y'all time.
All right. Thank you so much, brother. Okay. Broccoli. Okay, let's go to the Gmails here. This comes from Anna. She says, Mr. Fuller, you were in the military. I believe you said you was in the Army or Air Force or both. Mr. Fuller, how did you deal with racism, which is white supremacy, in the military?
Same way I dealt with it with not being in the military. It's all the same thing. You come under the system of white supremacy. I don't care what the flag says or what the Constitution says or anything like that. You just work within the system that you're in. You're born in it. There is a system of white supremacy, which is racism, which is designed to do what? Dominate and mistreat people of color. Anybody who is classified as black, brown, red, yellow, tan, beige, has a little bit of color in his or her skin, or somebody said that they did, even if a person looks white, but they say that, well, you got a great grandmother that had some color. All right. Oh, okay. Well, they're in the mistreatment category, right? Yep. Those are the people that you're supposed to mistreat because they got color in their skin. You know, if they got color in their skin, they're supposed to be mistreated. I mean, something is out of order if they're not being mistreated now. You got to mistreat those people that's got color in their skin. Well, why is that? You know, because I said so. Is that the reason? Yeah. That's all it took.
That's all it took. Wow.
And it's a lot of benefits that go with it. See? It's a lot of benefits that go with that. Mistreating people based on color, having a whole category of people, black, brown, red, yellow, tan, beige, just have some color in their skin, and you can do anything you want to with that person, and nobody's supposed to say anything about it. Isn't that a wonderful proposition? Have somebody wait on you hand and foot, do whatever you say do, think the way you want them to think, on account of the color of their skin. Don't you think that that's a wonderful thing to have when you got millions of people like that right there at your beck and call? Ain't that wonderful? Yeah, well, that sounds like that ain't right. Well, we're not talking about right and wrong now. We're talking about what's convenient. Oh, well, it is convenient. Well, then, that's all we need to think about. What's convenient? All right? I mean, that's natural. That's normal. People like to do what's convenient, and racism is convenient for any person classified as white. All right? End of story. Period. And so the average white person takes a look at that and say, well, what if we didn't have racism? Then that means you don't have a category of people that you can mistreat and get away with. Do anything you want to with. Use any kind of way you want to. Underpay them. Don't pay them at all. I mean, you know, you going to give that up? Give it up for what? What are you going to have if you give it up? Well, you got a point there. Yeah, I'll go with racism. So the average white person has every incentive to be a racist.
I see. Okay.
That's the bottom line that I want to, you know, get to.
Okay.
Every white person, when given that kind of option, do you want the option of having people at your beck and call, people kissing your foot anytime you tell them to, and it ain't nothing they can do about it except kiss it? Isn't that a convenience? Well, you put it that way, it is. Now, you want to give it up and just have to everybody equal, which means you're going to have to work harder. You ain't got nobody to push around. When you get mad, you don't have nobody that you can go over across town and kick or shoot and whatnot. You just have to try to work it out. I mean, you don't have that convenience, you know. Well, yeah, I see your point. I see your point. Yes, I see your point. That's a wonderful point. Well, I know it ain't right, but it's convenient, like you say, and we'll worry about the right later. I mean, you know.
Okay.
I mean, if ever.
If ever.
And that's all racism is, folks.
Okay.
That's all it is. It's a super convenience.
TalkTameAtRadio.com is a 24/7 no-charge worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news and lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, and politics. Here's two I'd like to share with you. You need to turn into this program right here. This is Libby. Man, she really gets down with the holistic information, foods, ways of living. Man, it is just fantastic. And my new old show, Talking Sports with Mr. Bobby, heard exclusively here on TalkTameAtRadio.com. It's going to premiere on Tuesday, February the 20th, from 6 to 7 p.m. live. And we're going to have a special guest come in, and you'll love that. These programs and others are exclusive to TalkTameAtRadio.com, and all you have to do is go to the TalkTameAtRadio.com homepage, click on programs, and there you will find all the information, bios, and all that stuff. And while you are there, there is a donate button right underneath the telephone number, and all you have to do is hit that, because we want you to donate to the second hour of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. That's all you have to do is hit that button. Whatever amount that you want to put in there, you can, and we will accumulate it and pays for this second hour. Some of our recurring sponsors, Brian Gaston, Eric Williams, BW Gifts, Helen Nance, Don Mitchner, and Jane Lance are some of the reoccurring listeners, but you can be one also, and then they'll give me a new list, and we'll put that on there. All this from TalkTameAtRadio.com, radio the way it should be heard. I am Mr. Bobby, the co-host of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTameAtRadio.com. Get in contact with the show calling 1-877-932-9766. And you can get in contact with the show, and Mr. Fuller will answer your questions. Okay, let's do this one. Mr. Fuller, this comes from, let's see, was it Jane? Yeah, okay, JL. She says this, Mr. Fuller, Louis C.K., a white comedian, told a joke in which he said that it was good to be white in the past. It's good to be white in the present, but it won't be good to be white in the future, because white people as a whole will eventually have to pay for racism. Mr. Fuller, do you believe racists will have a karmic debt to pay in the afterlife? Now, I looked that up, karmic debt, before you answer, Mr. Fuller, and it is simply this. Numerology based on the idea that each of us is a spiritual being or a soul which incarnates many times in order to further evolve toward higher states of awareness. The numbers that indicate karmic debt, and she gives the numbers here, and where they are found in your numerology chart is just as important as their effects. Mr. Fuller, what do you think about that? Will white folks have to pay for their mistreatment of black folks?
Well, by pay, it means what form does the pay take? See, and it's called, the title of my book is the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept. That's the basic title. That's the main title. It has a couple of supplementary titles, Compensatory Counter-Racist Code, but the overall title is the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept. That word compensatory means making up for what's missing, making up for the things that you did. I mean, the law of compensation is the law of the universe. If you plant corn, you're compensated for having planted the corn by getting corn. All right, it gives illustrations in the code book that I've written. When you wear glasses, you're compensating. Like I wear eyeglasses. I'm compensating for failure in my ability to see. That's a failure. I'm trying to squint, I'm trying to see, and I can't see what I'm looking at. I can't see clearly what I'm trying to see. So by having glasses, somebody manufactured, thankfully, I compensate for a lack of vision by having glasses, and on and on and on. When you sit down and eat a plate of food, what are you doing? You're compensating. Compensating for what? For not having any food in your stomach, which is a requirement of your body. So you compensate for not having food in your stomach by putting food in your stomach. That's a compensatory act. So we're compensating each and every day. Every move that we make is a compensatory move. Now, the white supremacists, by doing evil things, have to compensate for the evil that they have done. That's just the law of the universe. And they know that. They're just trying to forestall it. All right? But when you throw things out of balance, things have a tendency to want to come back in balance. All right? Because whatever created the universe believes in balance. And we've seen evidence of that.
Yes.
By whatever name you want to call it. Okay? And so those scales tip back the way that they should have been in the first place. Okay? So things have a tendency to go in that direction. If I didn't believe that, it would be no reason for me to write a book.
Yes,
you
sir.
have to believe in the law of compensation.
Yes, sir.
All right? So, Christians, in the Christian religion, they say, you will pay for what your evil deeds are. There's an old saying, I don't know, it's just a saying. The things that you do, the evils that you do, by two and two, you will pay for one by one. All right? And that's a thought. That's an old quotation that I remember. The evils that you do, by two and two. Oh, yeah, you're just galloping down the road, just one right after another. All right? Might doing them 4 by 4. All right? But then there comes a time when you just have to slow down and back up and start paying for them one by one. Each and every one of those evils that you committed, galloping down that road. Painfully and slowly, you pay for them. Like paying for anything, you're eating too much, okay? And your stomach, your body, your metabolism tells you ate too much. Now, when you go to bed tonight, you're not going to rest very comfortably, because your stomach is going to be growling, all right, because you're overfed, you're not in balance, and you're not going to sleep well. And by you not being able to sleep well, you are going to get up groggy, you know, and then when you get on the job, you're going to make mistakes on the job, and you might get fired, all right, on account of what? That first imbalance that you started. So the law of compensation, yeah, I believe in it, because there's evidence of it all over the place. Each and every day you see that.
Wow. Okay. That's something else. Here's a question now. It may, by your answer, it may go into the second, rather to the last segment, but let's do this. This comes from James, who is saying that he's a musician out in California and does his thing on the waterfront, and he plays the guitar and so forth. But what he's asking, he said he got people's attention, and the stage started meeting him, but then started to harass him, from the police to strange people who he didn't know started following him. He says he got cyberbullied. Rich older people would call me the N-word to his face, so I stopped playing at the location for lack of the safety from my concern. My question to Mr. Fuller is, Mr. Fuller, did you receive threats? Were you being followed, harassed by whites and or non-whites for putting your compensatory book together, making speeches and so forth?
Now, if I understand the question, have I been harassed?
Yes.
Because of my book?
Because of your book, and making speeches, your appearances, and so forth, because you were trying to expose, white supremacy.
No, I haven't. What has happened is I've been ignored. So I say, yes, I've been harassed in that way. See, the white supremacists are very shrewd. When they believe that, and this is just my belief, when they believe you're right on point, and that they're allowing you to be on point, the first thing they do is not pay attention to you. And that's anybody, not just me. They pay attention to who's listening, and seeing if anybody is listening and acting on what you're saying. And if they check that out and see that nobody is acting on it, because nobody really understands what you're doing, or not interested in what you're doing or what you're saying, and not acting on what is being said, that's the main thing. They look for the action. They don't care about the theories. You can have all the theories you want to. You can stand and make speeches all day. I mean, every day. They don't care. What they do is, what's going to be the result? So far, they have looked at the results of my work, and they say, nobody's paying any attention to him. So we won't mention him, and the other people are not mentioning what he's doing or his book, which is what it is. It's not about him. It's what he wrote. Nobody's acting on it. So what? In other words, it's just like any criminal enterprise. If nobody's chasing us, if people are talking about we are doing stuff we shouldn't be doing, but nobody's doing anything about it, nobody's, they have analyzed it, and, and they talk about it. They say we're running this criminal operation and whatnot called white supremacy, but it's not taking any effect. Our slaves still go about doing what they always do, just get up in the morning and try to entertain each other. That's mostly what black people do, entertain each other and whatnot. So everything is, business as usual. We're right on course. We won't worry about nobody like Neely Fuller or nobody else. Doesn't make any difference who it is. Now, that guy Martin Luther King and whatnot, I mean, he got to be a problem, all right? So when like in any criminal operation, see, when something gets to be a problem, maybe we have to whack somebody. Maybe we have to take care of somebody. We have to put a hit on somebody. And we'll put a hit on, and we got different ways of putting hits on people. I mean, we just let Marcus Garvey, this go back to Jamaica and die quietly. After he started his steamship line, he thought he was on a roll. He had people marching in the streets and whatnot back in the old days and all like that, talking about Negro improvement, whatnot. But he died a broken person, and we saw to that. And, okay, you got another one coming up? Okay, Malcolm X or whomever, we'll be ready for him, too. I mean, we know when to knock them down, okay? We don't like to put hits on it, like Solazzo said in the movie The Godfather. I don't like blood, Tom. Blood is a big expense, all right? In other words, it attracts too much attention and whatnot. So we don't want to beat up black people in the street, not in the refinement stage. A lot of us do, but some of us that get out of line, even the white supremacists put them in their place. So you're bad for business.
Yes.
You're around here, yelling the N-word all up and down the street. You don't want to do that. We're trying to be refined. We got a smooth operation here. We got these black people eating out of our hands. We got them doing all kinds of stupid stuff. That's what we want them to do. Be devoted to stupidity 24/7. And we got generations of them now, a couple of generations, maybe 3 or 4, just devoted to wholesale stupidity. Just walking around doing stupid stuff all day long.
All day long.
Stupid. Worshiping stupidity. That's the way we want them. And you around here calling them the N-word, you're going to make them get smart. We don't want no smart black people nowhere on this planet. So even though you're white, we're going to put a hit on you if you keep doing it. And they do that. They kill each other. They think nothing of it if you're bad for business. And you're white.
Okay.
I mean, hey, don't run around here calling these people the N-word when I got them working for me for nothing. And then you're going to stir them up. If they notice that I'm using that kind of language about them, they might start noticing other things I'm doing to them.
Okay. We got
just calling them names.
Right. We got to hold it there. TalkTameRadio.com. We go where you go. Check us out on 94.1 WGRN. Podcasts are available. Download the TalkTameRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. Stay right there. A few phone calls and some more Gmails. All that and more coming up next on TalkTameRadio.com.
Girlfriend, why are you in such a good mood on a Monday morning?
We just bought a foreclosed home and saved a ton of money.
A ton of money? What a blessing. Tell me how.
Well, Linco Realty specializes in selling foreclosed homes.
Linco Realty? I've heard about them on the radio. Yeah, that smart people buy foreclosed homes ad. Don't they have that website with all those vacant government and bank-owned foreclosed homes?
Yes, that's repohomelist.com. And they have lenders with purchase and repair money, even down payment assistance and credit repair.
No money down plus purchase and repair money? What's the number?
614-375-2289. Record low interest rates make some homes cheaper than rent.
Well, Bill wants a new home. Can Linco Realty help us?
Yes. Linco Realty can sell you a new home in over 50 communities around Central Ohio. They've been in business for over 35 years.
Wow, you've really been blessed.
Yes, we have, and you can too. Call Linco Realty today at 614-375-2289.
For the best home fragrance and beauty products, shop Ash Kickin' online.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Made with 100% natural quality ingredients and handcrafted with your family in mind, Ash Kickin' products are better than those other guys. Ash Kickin' candles, incense, body butter, face moisturizer, and hair moisturizer are priced just right, and you can get yours at 10% off with coupon code TALK17. Support this 100% black-owned business and get your home and body smelling and feeling all right.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Shop Ash Kickin' online at www.ashkickin.com.
Are you ready for a high school that allows you to work at a place that is right for you? Are you ready to earn a certification in healthcare, business, or manufacturing while achieving your high school diploma? Then you are ready for Life Skills High School, a free public school option for high school students 16 to 21 years old. Learn more about your free high school educational options at lifeskillshs.org or call them at 1-800-888-7992. Life Skills High School, education that fits your life.
Every year, June marks the beginning of two busy seasons, summer and wedding season. If you are legally changing your name, you need to apply for a replacement Social Security card reflecting your new name. This is easier to fix now when you first change your name than years from now when you retire. So go to our website at www.socialsecurity.gov/SS number or call us at 1-800-772-1213, TTY 1-800-325-0778 to find out what specific documents you need to change your name and apply for a replacement card.
If you or someone you know is abusing drugs and or alcohol and want to stop the abuse, contact APDS at 1409 East Livingston Avenue. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily and 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday. APDS is certified by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and primarily funded through the Adam H. Board. Fees are based on your income and Medicaid is always accepted. For more information, call 614-253-4448.
This is Al Edmondson, owner of a Cut Above the Rest barbershop. I'm calling on all barbers and beauticians. It's time for us to unite as one. We can serve our communities better together. Join the Ohio Black Barber Beauty Network. For more information, visit www.obbn.org or call 614-427-3226 to get more information. Be the change that you want to see in your community. Join our network.
I've got the water, energy bars, and camera. I think we're set for the hike.
Almost. We need to protect our skin. Don't forget your wide-brimmed hat and sunscreen.
All right. I've got the hat. I've got SPF 30. Will that work?
Yeah, anything 15 or higher is good. Just make sure it says broad spectrum.
Great. Got it. I am not getting burned again. Let's go.
Learn more at cdc.gov/cancer.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTameRadio.com.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Go ahead. Make my day.
You got the power.
TalkTameRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkTameRadio.com app to your cellular, to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. I am Mr. Bobby, the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. We are taking your phone calls by calling 1-877-932-9766. You can watch and hear the program live by going to the the YouTube channel. Let me get this so I can read it properly. YouTube and type in the word Talktainment, and then hit the space bar and type in the word radio, then scroll down to Talktainment #2 live on YouTube, and you can watch the live broadcast. Then check out for the replay of the Compensatory Concept on Talktainment 2 live on YouTube and also on Facebook.com/Talktainment. Also like us and also subscribe. Let's go to the phone lines. Line number 1, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead with your question.
Good morning, Mr. Gregory from Florida. I would like to ask Mr. Fuller, I don't know the amount of sales for his books that he has, but I personally believe his book should be on a New York Times bestseller, and I think that his concept should be out for the world so we can all contemplate and live by it. And my second question, other than like what he's been able to sell with his books, is the fact that how would he like to be remembered for Black history, for what he's done and what he's doing?
Okay, Mr. Fuller?
That last part, the actual question about Black history.
How would you like to be remembered? Is that what it said? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I have a good idea what the Black history, what? It's an organization? No, month. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Black History Month. Oh, Black History Month. Yes. And the question is, how would I like to be a member? To be remembered. Be remembered? Oh, yes, Black History Month. Yes, sir. Oh, well, it depends on how you want to look at history. When people ask me about history, I don't put it within a box called a month. And I don't put black history in a box called black history. I don't look at history that way at all. I look at history as what the code book says. And this is the way I say it. When people ask me, what is my history? I say my history is everything that ever happened before the beginning of time and since. And that is the truth. Every rock that ever turned over on the moon is my history. Now someone might say, well, Fuller, a rock turning over on the moon, how is that your history? Because it happened. You know, I exist. And so if there's a speck of dust right now that is somewhere flying around 2 inches off of the surface of the planet Pluto, and I'm reasonably certain there might be a speck of dust that's suspended 2 inches off of the surface of the planet Pluto right this minute in 2018, that is Neely Fuller Jr.'s history. Why? It's because it's happening. That's why. During his existence. Anything that happened before my existence and anything that's happening during my existence, 1 minute ago, 1 second ago, one fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a second ago, is Neely Fuller's history. And anything that happened, no matter how many thousands of miles it may have been away from where Neely Fuller is, or trillions of miles, or quadrillions of miles, all on the other side of all of the black holes in outer space, that's all a part of Neely Fuller's history. Now, so that comes down to, what is history for? What is the study of history for? 2 words: solve problems. That's it. That's what the code is for. Solve problems. What problems? The ones that are right there in front of you at the minute that they're in front of you. That's all. That's it. That's all you need to know about history, is how to use what has happened in the past to solve a problem that you're looking at right now. Otherwise, there's no logical reason for knowing or studying or caring about any kind of history of any kind if it's not for the purpose of solving a problem that you're looking at right this minute. Now, that's the compensatory way of looking at things. Mm-hmm. That's the counter-racist way of looking at things. And if I'm correct, that's the logical way of looking at things. So just going around digging up stuff in the ground, I mean, just to be digging it up and say, okay, well, my ancestor traveled through here 10 million years ago. Well, the response that I have to that is, so what? So what about who traveled anywhere 10 trillion years ago? So what? How many fish did somebody catch 20 million years ago? On what riverbank? I mean, what does that mean to me now? It means something to me if I can solve a problem with it now. If I can take that information and solve a problem that's coming up to me at 12 o'clock noon today. If I can take that and solve a problem, then that's history that I need to know.
What was your second question, sir?
I don't need to know that. I don't
I just don't understand why. I don't understand why his book is not the #1 seller. It should be something that's talked about in barbershops and just all over. I don't think that what we should do constructively as people is get this book out there. I just think it's just.
Well, that's one thing
it's mesmerizing.
That people do.
Your thoughts are deep and mesmerizing, and I think you break down the past, the present, and the future in a way that makes us look at life just in a way differently.
Okay. All right. Ms. Fuller?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Look at everything the way that it really is. That's what the code is supposed to do. Not look at it like the way we've been told and all like that.
Right.
And like since we're talking about black history, we talk about also ancestors. And I say, when we start talking about what your ancestors invented and all like that, I don't pay any attention to any of that. I'm being straight up about that. Because I say my ancestor invented breathing. End of story. I mean, then, hey, I'm out of here. Once I say that at a seminar, that's it. My ancestor, if you start talking about what my ancestors invented, my ancestor, or my ancestor, or tors, if it's plural, invented a thing called breathing. Now, how do I know that that's true? Because I'm breathing. So my ancestor had to invent breathing in order for me to breathe. And they say, well, what you're talking about, Phil, is, how do you say your ancestor invented breathing? Because I'm breathing. And you can't find an ancestor that invented anything better than breathing. All right? In my opinion. If you say your ancestor invented breathing, you don't need to say nothing else. I mean, you can go into another subject. That takes care of the ancestors' inventions. I don't have to go and dig nowhere to find out what my ancestor invented. My ancestor invented breathing. That's in the code book. And that's what I say. So that wraps up a whole thing about spending 15 weeks talking about what my ancestor invented. My ancestor invented breathing. And you don't find anything better than breathing. I don't think.
Okay. Since we are on the topic or subject of your book, this is the time that we designate in this hour for you to discuss your book. So take it away, Mr. Fuller. Mr. Fuller, about your book.
Okay. Yeah. You can get the book by going to producejustice.com. Producejustice.com. Because that's what we're supposed to be producing if we're trying to end racism. It's not just a matter of ending racism and then come by hand clapping, jumping up and down, hallelujah, and just business as usual. I mean, doing all the things we've done before. Just do it on a grander scale. No. We're supposed to be replacing the system of white supremacy with the system of justice. And what is justice? Guaranteeing that no person is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. Underline constructive. And that's why I said, it's not just a counter-racist code. We're supposed to be replacing it with the thing that should have been before there was racism, and that is a system of justice. Because you cannot have justice and have racism on the same planet at the same time. That is absolutely impossible.
Okay.
That can't be done. So you can get the book by going to producejustice.com.
All right.
And what will come up on the screen is all the instructions for ordering.
All right, producejustice.com. Okay, let's go to the Gmails. This comes from Jules. He says, Mr. Fuller, what does the code say about all this lying in the current administration with people resigning, with all this Russia stuff? What does the code say about that?
The code says all through the code that the white supremacists do what? If it's white supremacists who are doing it, by the way, and you can assume that the white supremacist has just about everything to do with anything that black people are involved in. Otherwise, we couldn't call it white supremacy. So we say that what do they do? When they do it, they do things. Their mechanisms are two basic strategies that they have, and that is for confusion, and that is deceit and violence. So if I'm going to commit violence against you, because deceit is a form of violence that has ill intent. So if I'm trying to harm you in a smooth manner, the smoothest manner is by fooling you. And I do that by the things that I say, all right? And the way that I go about saying it. And I will do things in a manner that it looks like I'm doing one thing and I'm doing something else. And then what will that cause? That will cause the one thing that I am aiming for, confusion. Deception is about causing confusion. Why? For a very logical reason. Anybody that you can fool, you can control.
Right? Yes, yes.
That's all it is. And so if you find out a way to talk to people in such a way that you can fool that person, have that person believe what you say, and all like that, then you can walk off and go to sleep. Because now the person is on automatic. I mean, you got them following what you want them to do and what you want them to say. So you don't have to stand over them and threaten them. See, that's the crude way of doing it. That's not the refined way. So you use deception. Now, I said earlier in the program, there are a lot of white supremacists who want to go back to the old way. Hey, I ain't got time. It takes too much work fooling these black people. Just hit them over the head, kick them, shoot them, curse at them all day long, call them the N-word. That's the old-fashioned way. That's real efficient. You can get things done. I mean, hey, it's right to the point. You don't have to do all this dancing around and whatnot. And the other white supremacists, the refined white supremacists, say, yeah, that will work with a small number of people here and there every now and then and work very efficiently, because that's how we got started. I mean, for the most part. Say, but if you're going to have a long-running show, it's best to train your animals to do what you want them to do without you watching them. Isn't that much easier? So that you can just go somewhere and go to sleep non-stop, and they're out there doing everything that you want them to do, killing each other, acting stupid, and anytime when it comes to doing anything that makes sense, they got to come to you. That's the way you want them. And that's the way they have us right now, worldwide. That's why we can add to the slogan of Black Lives Matter. So if Black Lives Matter, what do we have to say right behind that, right here in 2018? And when we say Black Lives Matter, it's something else that we are saying also that goes along with that, because we're saying Black Lives Matter to whom?
To whom?
All right? All right? So if we're saying Black Lives Matter to black people, all right, and if they really matter to black people, it means black people have to do something.
Yes, sir.
And what is it we have to do right now in order to make it valid that Black Lives Matter? First thing we have to do is ask a question. Which way did the white people go? Whether we believe that or not, that's true. Black Lives Matter, which way did the white people go? Why? Because if you're going to do anything for black people in the system of white supremacy, you've got to go and talk to some white people. So you got to find out which way they went, which is what black people are doing right now all over what we call our motherland, North Africa, Libya, Morocco, Ethiopia.
Yes, sir.
Anybody up and around that Mediterranean Sea,
Algiers,
who is black, is trying to do what? Which way did the white people go? I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. This is the so-called motherland, but I got to run away from mother and get out of here and find out which way those white people went so that I can do what? So that I could get some food, so I can get some shelter, so I can get some medical care, and so I can get one of those main things that I definitely need, education. I don't know how to do nothing to save myself. I got to find some white people to tell me how I can help myself. Otherwise, I am helpless because I am a baby on this planet. And the only grown folks on this planet are people who are classified as white.
Ooh.
All right?
Ooh, Mr. Fuller, watch out.
This is 2018, and truth be told, that is the shape that we are all in, truth be told.
Truth? Ooh.
Now, anybody who says that what I just said is not true, prove it.
Let's take a phone call.
I mean, prove it by showing, you know, the examples, because that's what you got to have, that ain't true.
Okay. Let's take his phone call. Line number 1, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, please.
Hi, I'd like to recommend that Mr. Fuller see the film Black Panther when it comes out, so it'll be something that people can talk about, and I think it'll be constructive as well for him. Thank you.
Okay, Black Panther.
Well, has anybody seen that movie?
Have you seen that movie?
Not as yet. Okay, well, usually I wait for other people to see the movie and listen to what they say, because that is where it is. I already got my opinion of most stuff out here that is being pushed. See what I mean? And so, but I don't like to make judgments on anything until, like you have recommended.
Okay.
Until I actually see it.
So you see it,
start to finish.
Okay.
A lot of movies have been recommended to me, like Get Out. I haven't seen it, so I don't make any comments on it because I haven't seen it.
Okay. Here's a question about your list of films. You mentioned a few programs back that you were compiling a list, or what?
Yes, I'm in the position. I've been telling people this for some time. I guess they gave up on me doing it, and that is I have a list, a sort of a rudimentary list made up of about 40 to 42 movies that I recommend that people see, that goes way back to the 1930s. But I was thinking just the other day, 4 movies that I would recommend that people see in this sequence right now. They've been around for some time, but and to look for 2 things in the movies: character and principle about values.
Okay. What are those 4 movies?
All right, and those 4 are in this sequence. You see them in this sequence, and I recommend that you see them on different days, so you can absorb each movie. Nothing But a Man, and look for things about character and principle.
Okay, number 2.
All right, number 2, A Raisin in the Sun, a movie, and that's the original.
Okay.
The one with Sidney Poitier.
Okay, number 3.
All right, number 3, The Hustler with Paul Newman.
Okay, and,
all right,
and number 4.
Study Every Scene, and number 4, An Officer and a Gentleman.
All righty, let's take this phone call. What line? 3? Okay, line number 1. Okay, number 1, quickly. You're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, please.
Hey, how you doing, Mr. Bobby, Mr. Fuller? How y'all doing? This Brother Muko from Baltimore.
Yes, Brother Muko.
I just had a quick question for Mr. Fuller. Mr. Fuller, have you ever heard of laws that invented white people in the 1600s? Are you aware of that or heard of that in any kind of way?
That what was invented?
Laws. The laws that invented white people.
The what that invented white people?
Laws. LAWS. Laws that were put in place. Right. The laws that were put in place in Maryland that invented white people.
Well, I've never heard of anything. You know, I've heard some stories about how white people evolved. I mean, you know, they came from black people, and many white people say that. Many white anthropologists and scientists say that, well, you know, all people came from what we call Africa, and they don't say it outright, but they hint that the first person on the planet, presumably as far as what they can find so far, was a black person. All right. Now a lot of white people say that, but they usually leave out the fact that the person. They say the fact that the person was black. Or they don't say that. A lot of black people say that.
Okay.
But they do say that the first person came from East Africa.
Okay. I'm sorry. You're going to have to leave it right there. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Thank you, callers. TalkTimeAtRadio.com, the world's greatest radio, and radio the way it should be heard. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Mr. Fuller.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for listening to the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio.
The most important question in all racial matters is why. One should always ask it.
Radio, the way it should be heard.
You've got the power. The world's greatest radio. TalkTainmentRadio.com.